And that's what I forgot to tell you at the beginning. Sorry for the interruption, Vicky, is that we record these meetings and so that we can use them as archived sessions for our people that want to watch them. So Jana, how about your club? How do you guys go about getting everyone on the same page?
Very similar. We do have a mission statement that we keep coming back to, and I can tell you ours so that you have a couple different ones to go by. Ours is to provide professional skating instruction for youth in our community, and we provide a safe, fun, friendly atmosphere to skaters to achieve personal success either in the recreational or the competitive environment. So in our club, we have a lot of recreational skaters, and then we have a handful of competitive. So we strive to make sure we have programs for both to ensure that they each belong where they belong in our club. And so when we move forward from that statement, we actually do a different kind of thing in our club. Is everything is done in a group training and a group atmosphere. So we structure our entire club around groups. So our board is working as a full-time group. They work all together, and all of our coaching team works all together. So it's a little bit different. We introduced this probably 6 years ago, and it started very small as we just called it our group training and our team training. And now we have our sessions with that. Those are our full sessions. Our skaters really enjoy the group training, and we have all the coaches working together instead of against each other. And so there isn't competition between our coaches at all. We all work on the same team.
Okay. So I like that. Any questions about creating that foundation of, being all on the same page and how either of these clubs went about that? Okay, I found you guys again. Sorry for the technical difficulties there. So then we'll move on to, we're on this page, personnel and structure. So how do you structure your personnel in your club so that they're meeting the needs of programming and such?
So basically at Skate Regina, we have our executives, so our board of directors, and then we have paid staff, which is like the registration coordinator, the can skate coordinator, the skating director, accountant, and then we have our coaches. So that's sort of how our structure works. Some clubs, may just have board of directors and one coach. But we can dive deeper into that in roles and responsibilities. But that's how we have our structure.
Jana, how about your club?
Ours is on a smaller version. We have our board of directors. We have our director of coaching, and we have can skate coordinators. And after that, we would love to have a registration person, but we just are working towards that still. So ours is similar, but in a smaller version of that. And we also, I was going to say when we're doing our board, we often have people that work together with someone on the board. So we find so many new people wanting to come into the board. They want to do it, but they're just intimidated by it. So they always say, "Oh no, I don't know how to do it," or "I don't want to do that." So it's not a buddy system, but it's more of like a partnering system. So we would share roles. So if you're learning the test role, you could go with the person on test and learn how to do it. So it just kind of eases their stress of learning a new role on the board, and it just introduces them to teamwork and showing that even though you're on the board, it doesn't mean you're all alone in your one position. So the team of the whole board is always helping each other. And it's been really good for us because we don't really have a hard time getting board members anymore. because they know that they're confident in someone on the board is going to help them through their position, which I think is the hardest part with the board, is having people come on and feel like they are overwhelmed by it.
That's a really good point, because it's, I think, intimidating, especially if it's not your world as a parent, but it's now become your child's world, to know that there's someone to mentor you through that process, because like I say, it can be quite intimidating if you're not familiar with the sport. Any questions about personnel for these ladies in regards to how to structure it? It sounds like they all have the board executive, and then they've got some staffing roles, whether they're paid or not, and then coaches. Okay, let's move on to skating programs and how you structure your ice time. How do you know what programs to offer? How do you make that decision? And then how do you go about scheduling your ice time for that?
So one of my roles as skating director is to book all of the ice and to schedule all of the programming within that. First and foremost, I would just like to mention that it is essential to have a good relationship with your ice time and your facility rental people that are giving you the ice. It will make things a lot easier when you're asking for ice time, and even the rink staff too, when you need a flood here or there or whatever. It's just so essential to have a good working relationship with these people, and it makes your job easier. When it comes to structuring ice time, it's a really good idea to structure it in a way where your parents and your skaters can see the pathway of how they can grow in your club. So for example, you may want to schedule your junior star skate session first and then a can skate session after, so that when your can skaters are walking in, they can see what the next level looks like. So it just sort of depends how it works for your club. It maybe depends on coaching and who can work what sessions and stuff as well. But you do want to kind of have that visual of, oh, that's, or you know, as the can skaters are leaving, oh, this is what's on next. Okay, this is a clear visual of what comes next for my child. When it comes to lessons, well, we offer can skate, obviously, and we offer a star 1 to 6 session, which is like the lower star. But then also on those sessions we allow some private can skate lessons if that is sort of a big, lots of people request that. So those are the sessions we put those on, because we don't like those ones on the later sessions with the higher level skaters. So we put them there. And then we offer lots of stuff. We offer pre-power, we offer power skating, we offer adult edge class now, new this year, which is going really well. So it just sort of depends on what your need is as a club, and it changes from year to year as well. Like you might find that you have a big chunk of, you know, star 1 and 2, so maybe that becomes its own session. Or some years it might be thinner, so you have your ice time, you have to do star 1 to 4 together. So it just sort of depends on enrollment, and it's cyclical too.
Okay, Jana, do you want to speak to how your club goes around, decides skating programs and structuring your ice?
I'd like to tell you about a program we kind of did that was, we took a risk by doing it, and it was 2 years ago, and it was in our can skate program. And at that time our numbers were really down and our program was really expensive. And so we took a risk and we charged $99 for can skate, and we did it in blocks. So we broke it up kind of like a swimming session. So we did 5-week blocks, or 6 weeks, I forget, I'll have to ask Shelly. I think it was 5-week blocks, 5 5-week blocks. and it was three 45-minute sessions a week. So it could be Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. So with the $99, that included all 3 sessions. So what happened was most people came to, but they thought they were getting a really great deal for 3. And our sessions were packed. Like we had last year with that, we had 70 kids to 80 kids registered on every single block. And we never had 80 kids at once. The maximum we had was maybe 50. And it was just a really good way to do it. And it worked great. And people were happy. And, you know, if you were sick on Monday, you went on Wednesday. And there was just so much good about the fact that they could come and go as they pleased. And they thought they were getting a great deal at $99. The second year we did it, we upped it to $115, and it was the exact same. So we had just as many numbers, and we were able to pay our coaches a little bit more. But we weren't sure of how that was going to work when we first introduced it. And we haven't looked back, and we run it like that now. It's a little different this year, just as with COVID numbers, that we can only run it half capacity, but it is still going to be a good thing. And then also what else the people liked were that they did it in blocks. So if they bought the block 1 and then they had, it was Christmas and things were in block 2 and they didn't really feel like doing that, then they didn't have to do block 2. So then they would buy block 3 and then they'd buy block 4 if they want. Or, you know, maybe they just tried one block and that was good enough for their 3-year-old, you know? So it wasn't as big of a commitment for the families, and it just worked out really well for us. And it was probably one of the best things we ever did with our rec program.
I like that idea, Jana, because it actually gets kids on the ice more than once a week, right? Which is great.
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of kids did come 3 times, but there were a lot that just came once, and it didn't matter to us because we were never full. You know, we never had every single kid there at one time. So, do you want me to keep going with my group training and stuff?
Yeah, is that like for your STAR program? Is that what you do? Yeah, talk about your STAR program and then how you structure your ice times and yeah. Sure.
So we also do our STAR program in three structures. We call it bronze, silver, and gold. Bronze is STAR 1 and 2, and then silver is STAR 2 to 5, 6-ish, and then we have gold, which is 6 and up. It works out good because we get to do, it's a strict level of when you can move up. And so in our bronze category, we have no private lessons. Everything's taught in group. We like that. Like I was telling Vicky earlier, if I had to teach another Dutch waltz in a private lesson 15 more times in a day, it was just too much for me. So I couldn't handle doing that over and over and over again. After 15 years of it, I couldn't do it anymore. So by doing it in group, it works great. You get as much done. The kids learn just as quick, and it's less stressful on yourself having to go over that over and over and over again. So we do have parents that ask for private lessons in bronze, but we just don't offer it. And now they've stopped asking, and they know when they get to STAR 2, they can have private lessons in our silver session.
Okay. I like what I heard there from both of you. Like, I think there's that whole innovative part or piece when you respond to what your membership needs. So Vicky, you had talked about, you know, you base like programs you might have, like if your STAR 1 to 6 is a bigger group, you'd adjust to that. You've got your adult edge class to respond to the adult need that your membership was having, and how Jana, you guys did the CanSkate blocks, and it was, I think, done out of more of, I think, a necessity because you said your membership was low, but then it's turned into, it really met the needs of your membership because it was flexible. And so I thought those were great things, and setting your standards by doing your groups in bronze. So then it kind of aligns with what Vicky had talked about earlier with the whole schedule your ice so that the groups coming on see the pathway and how the bronze see that, you know, once they get to the silver, they're going to get their private lessons. And so I like all that. That's good information. Any questions for Jana and Vicky on like club philosophy, personnel structure, skating programs, or structuring your ice time? Go ahead, Holly.
I just have a question about more of the STAR programs. When you're going from season to season and you know your numbers are changing, your style of teaching is changing, are you trying to keep the same names of your sessions? Are you trying to keep those types of items similar so parents are able to kind of follow along? Or we've had a lot of changes in the last 5 years with our programs. We've gone from junior bronze to star and all this. And I feel like we've changed our names so often that the parents are like, are you guys keeping your names
I'll
the
be
same
honest,
no
I'm
matter
not.
what?
I'll answer that from my end here. What we do is when our numbers go lower because it's spring school and there isn't as many, we just combine them. So we call it bronze, silver, or silver, gold, so that it's done the same and it just adds more kids to the group. So even through our winter, we do have combinations of that going on. So it would be the bronze, silver team training or the silver, gold team training. But yeah, mostly in spring and fall when our numbers are not as high, we might have bronze, silver, and gold sessions. And we just keep them the same. So, but the skaters know where they belong. Does that answer your question?
So I struggle with this kind of every couple of years where I'm like, oh, okay, the needs have changed a little bit. So for example, a few years ago, we used to call one of our sessions advanced can skate and junior prep. It was a combined session. So it was like an intro to star group and then an advanced can skate. So that was stage 4, 5, and 6. But you know, I changed it to just junior prep would be that advanced can skate. So anybody junior prep to star 1, 2. Basically, then you have your 3 groups. So you're still taking those can skaters stage 4, 5, and 6 and up to star 1, 2. So then you're just grouping. You have usually 12 to 18 kids on that session, and you group them. The star, maybe it's star 1, 2 together. Maybe it's stage 5 and maybe it's 5 or 5, 6, and you've got a lot of 4s. But I know what you mean, because then some people were like, well, where's the advanced can skate? So you just as long as there's a club communication that goes out and says, okay, our previously called session was called advanced can skate. This is now going to be the junior prep session. So I do think I don't think it should be changed every year just because people kind of get used to one thing. But definitely if you feel a need that you'd like to change it and something that's going to benefit your club and it makes more sense, then do it. Just send out an explanation about it.
Shelley, do you want to add anything to any of that information that Jana and Vicky touched on?
Yeah, I was just thinking about when you were talking about changing the session names. We've done that with a few sessions through the years to fit the needs of what the session should be. And mostly with our Can Skate Advanced program. We at one point went straight from Can Skate into Star Skate, and we were missing that gap, and we weren't getting a lot of skaters jumping into the Star Skate through the Can Skate. We introduced the Can Skate Advanced, where we pushed most of our badge 5 and 6 skaters into that program, and then that bridged the gap for those that wanted to continue figure skating to move into the Star. Then this year we had a discussion about that, and we've changed the name from Can Skate Advanced because we want that to be more of a funnel directly into the figure skating and not have the hockey skates in that session. So we've changed it to Intro to Star Skate, It's still the Can-Skate Advanced, the Badge 5-6 skaters, but only those that are interested in moving into the figure skating. So by changing the name, it made it more clear the intention of that program. And I think the 5-6 hockey skates will still stay on the can skate side of things. And then we have the funnel for the figure skaters into the Star Skate program.
Good.
Yeah, and
I will-
just to add to that, and we've really worked hard on keeping our names simple, because so many parents have no idea what star 3 is or 2, or even when they've been in forever and you think they should know, they still don't know. So by keeping it bronze, silver, gold, it moves up the ranks. It's obvious. It's pretty simple. And then adding the intro is obvious again. So I think sometimes we try to make things too complicated. It's already a complicated sport. So simplify it so that people can keep it simple and figure it out. Sometimes they can figure it out themselves a little bit.
That's a good point. Simplicity, less is more, right? Okay, so we'll move on to roles and responsibilities now. So Shelley, the first one on the slide is the executive and the board. Do you want to talk a bit about the roles and responsibilities of the executive committee or board for clubs?
Yeah. So in Moose Jaw, we have a 10-member board that's all volunteer. They're all elected positions. We have 4 executive positions: the president, the vice president, the secretary, and treasurer, and there are signing authorities. And then we have 6 director positions, and they're just called directors when they're voted in. They cover a wide variety of roles, from our ICE coordinator, our fundraising chair, registration chair, our test day chair, publicity and communications, and our special events and can skate coordinator, off ice can skate coordinator, not the coach can skate coordinator. But we keep our roles very flexible on the board. At the beginning of every year, we sit down as a board and we redefine everybody's role based on the people that are on the board, their interests, their skill set, maybe what they want to learn and the area that they're interested in. So everybody's doing a role that they enjoy or want to, or working in an area of growth. Sometimes we have people buddy up and work together on 2 roles. There's lots of cross work. We all work as a team. We're all there to support one another. And as a board, we feel that our role is to also support the coaches and help create this fantastic program for the kids, because that's why we're all there. We want a great program for the kids, no matter what level they're at, whether they're a new skater, a recreational skater, a competitive skater, or an adult skater. We want a place for everyone to grow, learn, and have fun. So, so we really work together well as a team. We have lots of fun together. One of our downfalls, and we continue to try to do this better every year, is to not forget to draw on the general membership of our club, because there's lots of people in our club that want to volunteer but don't want the commitment of a role on the board, and they're waiting to be asked. And if we reach out and ask, we often and always get the volunteers that we need, but sometimes we forget to ask and we just do. So it's not necessarily the role of the board to do everything, but it's to help coordinate and organize and support.
Good. I really like that whole pulling on your general membership for volunteers and just asking before you do, because you're right. I think there's a lot of people out there willing to do small pieces, but not wanting to be part of the commitment of a board member. Vicki and Jenna, do you want to add anything as coaches working with executive boards and boards?
Just that it's important that the roles are defined, for sure.
Jenna, do you have?
Sorry, I'm going to add to, I have it in my notes, just that the other thing that's really important is that both the coaches and, well, in my opinion, both the coaches and the board remain athlete centered. So what is best for those kids in the club? What is best for the programming of the club? It's athlete centered, and to always come back to the club mission and values when making decisions, and open communication between board and coaches is huge. And when that happens, it's great.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that we also have a coach that sits on the board with us, and we think that's important. And the coaches are always welcome at any time to come join our board meetings. Jan is the coach that always comes to every board meeting, but often we'll have the Kansas coordinator or one of the Kansas coaches that wants to come and discuss. They're welcome to come to the board meetings as well. And we also have a board member go to all the coaches meetings so that we have that clear communication and between the board and the coaches, and so that we're all on the same page.
And that's just coming back into our whole team atmosphere. Like, if you feel like you're on the team, then you are on the team. And when we invite whoever to our coaches meeting, it's just a nice representation of the board, that the board is supporting us as coaches. And then when I'm at the meeting or a coach is at the meeting, you feel the same, that you're being represented well, and you're the voice for all of the coaches. So it never ever seems to have a conflict. We're on the team. We're all on the team together and working together. And it does definitely help a lot when we all have the same vision.
So I heard some really important points, I think there. The clear communication is key, and how you go about doing that between your clubs and between the executive and the coaches. And Shelley, when you talked about redefining the roles at the beginning of every year, and that would align with what Vicki said earlier about the vision, mission, and values. Doing that at the start of every year gets everybody on the same page. Okay. Skating director, Jana, is Vicki, do you want to talk to that? Who would like to go first?
Do we want to, okay, we'll go through everything. So Jana and I are both the skating director, and I don't know, our roles might be different. This is one thing we didn't discuss, Jana. For me, I book all of the ice time for all year round. We have different facilities. So we have Evraz, which is a private facility, and then we have the city rinks. So those are two different people that I book ice with. I schedule all the club sessions, so all of our group programming sessions, and they do change and introduce new things and everything. And I think it's good that you have to remain adaptable and try to offer as much as you can. And then I also do all the lesson schedules for the coaches. So every day, it depends on which coaches are there, and I do all of the lesson schedules for everybody. And then I'm responsible for programming and just overseeing the day-to-day stuff. So that's basically my role.
Vicki does a lot more than me. I have a really great board that does a lot of our work. And so we have a person on our board that does all our ice bookings and all of that. And then we get together as a group and we make our schedule, and it changes 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 times before we actually are able to post it, due to different reasons, the city changing our ice, or, the minor hockey needs our ice now, and we have to switch this and that. And so we don't really, I don't really have much to do with the actual booking of the ice. I'll have a say in how I want it set up, but I don't actually do that part of it. But everything else is the same with my director position. I get to have the coaches I would like on each session. I host different, professional development things with them. We make sure we're all teaching the same techniques. We're all doing, we all understand who's, what spins are in programs, and we kind of just do a lot of group work just between the coaches so that we're all in the same, we know what we're supposed to be doing. I do all the lessons as well. I group all the groupings, and then I do all the private lessons. I distribute that to each coach every single day. And we just, yeah, it's very similar, I think, but just different in the fact that we have a board that does a few more things that Vicky does.
Good. So question then, if like when creating scheduling your ice, how much ice should, like, what's the ideal amount of ice to run programming?
I think that depends on obviously your club, but like it's hard. I know we fight for ice a lot. Like it's very difficult to get more ice than what we had the previous year. So that gets tough. I mean, we can always add mornings, but really I try to do at least like a can skate session and then two other sessions, like an open and a free skate each day. So there's a 45-minute open and a 45-minute free skate each day, no matter what. And then on various other days, there's like, whether it's can skate or a star 1 to 6 session or a can skate and a junior prep session. And then we have like an edge class or an adult edge or a junior. We offer or then there's the power skating sessions too. So basically, like, for your private lesson skaters, you do need to schedule, 2 to 3 different opportunities to skate per day.
Jana, do you guys kind of schedule along the same, whereas your star getting daily kind of opportunity?
We unfortunately in Moose Jaw have a lot of late night ice. So we start often at 7 p.m. and go till 10 or 10:30 most nights. Be in a perfect world if we could just skate from 4:30 to 7, but we never seem to have that ice. So we have all late ice, and we do a bit of the same. We run a team training and an open, usually back to back. So you could have a kid who does both sessions or one that just takes the team training. So we offer back-to-back sessions all the time. Plus we have a lot of kids that come in from out of town in different areas. So we've also learned that when people are coming from out of town, they like to skate longer than they do drive.
Once again, taking in the needs of your membership. Okay, so let's move forward and talk a little bit about, you've got can skate coordinators and registration coordinators. How do those roles work within your clubs?
So the can skate coordinator is responsible for all things can skate. So I will staff the session, but basically how the session is run and making sure that all of the sessions are run the same and are run to the Skate Canada delivery standards. So it's how the sessions are structured. It's organizing props, it's organizing meetings with the team leads and the can skate coaches, and holding PA meetings and training.
Our can skate coordinator, again, we run it in a team atmosphere. We have 2 of them, because when we run our blocks, we have one doing one block and then one preparing for the next block. It works out good for them. They get a bit of a break when it's their 5 weeks of not having to coordinate. But we could run it with just one as well. We have 2 people that want to do it, so we let them do it and share that position. They do the exact same, all things can skate, all the reporting, all the setup, all the program assistance, the same as Vicky was just talking about, everything the same.
In terms of our registration coordinator or the office admin person, this is a vital person. So it's your frontline communicator to your members. And they take in all the registration, field questions about programs and session. They build online registration and brochures, updating Facebook and website. And it's a specific skill set. So Nicole she's also a coach at our club. And she does the registration, and it's a big job. And I'm thankful that she's a very organized person that does it, because it's a big job.
Jana, do you guys have you don't have a registration coordinator?
We have a volunteer one.
Oh, there we go.
We have 3 people that cover those roles. We have one person that does the bulk of the registration. We're trying to split that up a little bit this year just because it is such a big job. So we're trying to split it between the CanSkate and the Starskate side, but we're still in the process of getting more people trained in the program so that they're able to help out more. We want one person. We're trying to get a dedicated person this year to be in charge of dealing with refunds and changes to invoices and things like that, but that's still, again, in the training stages. We have somebody else that mans the email, and we have another person yet that mans Facebook and website, or the Facebook and Instagram. And then everybody mans their section of the website. And that's a new thing that we're doing this year. We're training each person how to edit, because it's fairly simple to edit the website pages. So our fundraising person takes care of the fundraising page on the website and keeps it up to date. And the ice scheduler person keeps the ice schedule pages up to date on the website, just so that it's not one person is being overwhelmed by this, because they're all huge tasks. So we're trying to split them up into smaller, more manageable tasks, because we are all volunteers and the majority of us work full-time outside of skating. So.
Okay, any questions regarding the coordinators and the director and the executive board before we move on to the coaching team? I really liked how you both talked about involving people and training them, which is building the sustainability in your club, right? It's getting everybody involved and seeing it's not so tough, and it's divide and conquer for sure. Coaching team, who would like to talk first about their coaching team? Jana, do you want to go first with this one?
Sure. Our coaching team started with 4 coaches for a long time, and as we've continued doing group training, we've needed more and more and more. We're up to 9. We really try to accommodate. The one thing I try to accommodate is I have a coach who's a nurse and she works shift work, and I have a coach who's a school teacher who just had a baby, and I have a coach, that works full time and she can handle too much, all those kinds of people around. And so I really, really, really try to encourage them to coach a bit, even if it's just once a week. And so our schedule may look a little crazy some days, because I'm really trying to accommodate to keep everyone who wants to coach, even if it's for a half an hour a week, they get to coach. It's just trying to keep people in it. As we watch and as we see at the competitions, it's the same coaches over and over again, year after year. And I really, really, really struggle with that, because I like to see the new faces, and I like to encourage the younger coaches to keep coaching, and the coaches that have 2 kids and don't have time, that don't want to do it anymore, to still coach. Because there's a lot of those people around, and especially around where we are, there's tons of coaches and people around that just don't coach anymore because it's too time consuming, or they don't have the energy, or they don't have the time. So by giving them the opportunity to just coach a little bit, it's just keeping that foot in the door, and maybe at some point I have my fingers crossed that they will have more time and want to do more. And I enjoy coaching with lots of different people. So that's why I try to keep them all involved. And I do have one coach that comes for one day a week for one dance session and one open session, and that's all she can handle. And she's a great asset to our club because she's a great coach, and she someday won't have little kids, and someday maybe we'll have more time. So that's kind of where our team is at. I just try to encourage everyone, if they can keep going, to keep going.
So we also have a coaching team at Skate Regina, and some coaches only teach dance, and some coaches only teach skills, and some coaches teach everything. And yeah, I do the schedule, and first and foremost, at the beginning of the year, I sent out a questionnaire as to what everybody was interested in, what area they felt most comfortable in, what area they would like to learn more in, and sort of then made the schedule based on what kids were there on the days that they could work and what they would be teaching. It is a tedious job to try to get everybody covered off, but it's working so far very, very well, and everybody seems to be happy. And I think we can probably move into the coach recruitment and retention, because Jana was already sort of speaking on that. There are a lot of things that you can do as a club to retain and recruit coaches. One of the things that I really try to do is build within our own club. So encouraging kids to PA all throughout, so that also by the time they turn 16, encourage them to go take their CanSkate course, because you may not need another CanSkate coach in your club where you're at if you're a smaller club. For us, we could always use more, but the surrounding areas of clubs are dying for CanSkate coaches. So the more that you can build in your own club, the better it is for the other clubs around. They can draw from a center and be like, hey, we need a coach, and the more work those younger CanSkate coaches have. I think it's important that being a senior level coach, and Jana, I know you'll feel the same, is to really foster the love of coaching in these kids, and to really encourage it, and hopefully one of the values of your club in your values is to encourage coach development and make it a priority. A good way to do that is to set aside some funds each year, so that if you have, like, maybe you set aside $400 each year, and you have 2 coaches that are going to be taking their CanSkate course, so they each get $200 toward taking that course. I know it costs more than that, but at least it's something to get them started and to help out. I also think it's imperative that the senior coaches in the club support that initiative, and are positive and helpful resources for younger coaches to go to as well.
Jana, do you want to add any more onto that?
No, I agree with all of that. I thought it was all great what Vicki had to say. One other thing we like to do sometimes with our skaters that are almost 16 or going to start taking their coaching is we bring them out onto our bronze session and have them do some choreography, especially before our little Christmas on Ice, and get them to help the kids and add a few arms and add this and add that. And they love doing that. And that's where you kind of learn to love to coach, when you actually get to make something up and be creative and show a tiny little girl with her little dress how pretty they could look and how good this will look. And they just love it. And the teenagers love it, and they're idolized by these little people. And I think it's a great life skill for them to take on, that you are a mentor right now, and these kids are looking up to you, and as you move on to being a coach, you will continue to be that. And I think just encouraging as much development with those almost 16-year-old kids because they're kind of on their way out too. So they could either go, oh, I'm just going to be done skating, or if She kind of say, oh, you're really good at, I need you out here to help me with the choreography. They're never going to leave. They're going to stay forever to help you. And they love it, and they feel appreciated, and they feel that they're needed. And it's easy to keep those kind of kids around when you encourage them to be out there with the younger ones.
And another way, like Jana had spoke to this already, is to hold the coach technical days and have the club rent some ice, where all your coaches get together and go over different tips and tricks and techniques that and they can really learn from each other, and also to make sure that they're, of course, coaching the same way. But in addition to those technical sessions, I mean, we hold like edge class or group class where for those newer coaches coming on, you can say, hey guys, if you're just sitting in the coaches room waiting for for your session to start, come on out and learn from some of these sessions that we're running. And you don't have to work it, you can sit on the sidelines, or you can come and help out and get involved. But the information is there. There's a ton of information. We also say to any younger coach on the ice, if they don't have a lesson showing up, or that you just come jump in my lesson and ask questions, because I think that sharing your knowledge with other coaches is just a great way it just benefits everybody.
Okay. Any more that you want to say? Like, I think you covered basically recruitment, retention, engagement, and motivation. Any questions for our panel? Well, I think that pretty much wraps up our session. If there's no more questions, yeah, I don't see any hands. I want to thank, oh, sorry, go ahead, Allison.
That's okay. And it just goes back to when Jana was talking about doing her CanSkate in 5-week blocks or whatever they were for $99. I'm just curious, did that include the Skate Canada registration and everything too, or that's on top?
On top of it.
Okay, well, that's what I thought. I thought, how could you pay yourself after the $99?
Yeah, it was, the first year was $99 and their Skate Canada registration. The second year, when the SaskSkate $30 fee was attached, which is why we bumped it up to $115.
Right.
And then we didn't charge the SaskSkate fee. We still charged them their Skate Canada. And then our hope was that enough people would enroll in 2 or more blocks that extra $15 would end up covering the $30 fee for each skater.
Oh, okay.
It ended up not quite covering it, so we did it a little bit differently, where we rolled 15 into the cost of the program, and we charged them 15 as a membership, SaskSkate membership fee externally. We just felt it was hard to charge them like a $73.65 on a $99 program. So
yeah.
By rolling some of it into the program cost and then charging them, we'll be sure this year to cover those costs, where last year we didn't quite make it with trying to just have them pay half.
Right. Yeah. And that's where what I was wondering too, is if the parents would go, what? I thought it was only $99. So.
Yeah, we had lots of talks about that to try to figure out the best way to do it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you everyone for attending our panel session this evening. We appreciate your commitment to learning more about our sport and the time that you give back to the sport in your community. I would like to give a huge thank you to Vicki, Jana, and Shelley for sharing their insight and knowledge and what they've learned about developing a club with the pursuit of excellence in mind. All of the things, the key points you made tonight, I think would benefit any club, whether it's small or large. And there's some foundational pieces that I think are huge, and that's why I think you're all experiencing success in your clubs. And so we'll hope to spread that message. We're grateful for your willingness to put yourself out there tonight and be part of this discussion. So I thank you very much for that. I know I kind of bombarded them with not much time before, and then we had to I postponed it. So I think it worked out well because we had way more signed up for this session. So if there are no other questions, thank you very much, everyone. And I wish you all a great skating season.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Take care.
Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.